Today, we're diving into a really big idea in digital education. We're going to talk about moving away from all these broken, disconnected tools we're so used to, and towards something way more powerful, a self-reinforcing flywheel.
It's a question I think a lot of us in education have asked ourselves. Haven't we all been there? We have all these amazing, powerful tools, but they don't talk to each other. It feels like we're always switching between apps, logging into 10 different systems, just trying to piece together what's actually going on. I mean, why is it so complicated?
And this slide right here, it just lays out the whole problem perfectly. On the left, you've got our current reality, siloed tools. The LMS is over here, the analytics dashboard is over there, research portals are off in their own little world. But on the right, that's the promise, a unified ecosystem where learning, teaching, and research aren't just coexisting, they're actually fueling each other.
Wow, this quote from the source material just says it all, doesn't it? Rich in tools, yet starved of cohesion. That perfectly captures the paradox of modern edtech. We have never had more options, more software, more platforms, and yet all that abundance has somehow created a new kind of scarcity, a scarcity of connection. So, let's get specific. What are the real-world consequences of all this fragmentation? Because it's more than just being a little frustrating. There are some serious and often hidden costs to this disconnection.
First up, there's just straight-up operational waste. Think of all the money spent on redundant software licenses, or the countless IT hours spent trying to force these brittle systems to sorta work together. Then you've got lagging decision-making. Educators are often forced to act on old data, trying to fix a problem long after it started. And maybe the biggest one of all, this growing chasm between cutting-edge research and what actually happens in the classroom.
Okay, now this is where it gets really interesting. This slide maps out the solution. It's the value matrix for this LearnAdaptResearch platform. So just look at that first row. The AI-driven learning pathways are obviously great for the learner. They get a custom journey, but, and this is the key part, look at that last column. That very same interaction generates the data that helps educators and researchers. Every single feature helps one person directly while feeding the entire ecosystem. It's brilliant. So how do we get this whole thing moving? Where does the energy come from? Well, it all starts with the learner. Their engagement, their questions, their interactions, that is the first essential push of energy that gets this whole flywheel spinning. And we're not just talking about basic personalization, like, here's a different worksheet for you. No. This is true adaptive learning. The system's AI builds this incredibly complex, dynamic map for every subject. They call it a knowledge graph. And with every single click, every answer, it's using that data to recalculate the absolute best next step for that student right in that moment. It keeps them in that perfect zone of productive challenge.
And the feedback here is just on another level. It's not just you're right or you're wrong. The platform actually diagnoses why you got something wrong. It gives you prompts to think about your own strategy, and then it offers you different ways to learn the concept. Maybe a video, maybe an article. The point is, it's not just teaching you history or math, it's teaching you how to learn.
Okay, so the learner gives that first big push. But who makes the flywheel spin even faster? Well, that's where educators come in. They are the amplifiers. They take all that energy, all that data, and they use it to turn up the volume on the whole system. And a huge piece of this puzzle is smart automation. I mean, the platform just handles the tedious stuff. Grading routine work, tracking student progress, and boiling down all that complex data into clear, simple insights. And what that really does is give educators back their most valuable resource, their time.
And what do they do with all that freed up time? They get to do the stuff that really matters, the uniquely human work that no AI could ever replicate.
And this chart just illustrates that transformation beautifully. You can see the shift right here. The time spent on admin tasks just plummets. And in its place, educators can now focus on one-on-one tutoring with a struggling student. They can facilitate these rich collaborative projects or design amazing extension activities for kids who are ready to soar. It's about reclaiming the art of teaching. All right, now for the third piece of the puzzle, the component that makes this a true flywheel, the researchers. They take all this aggregated, anonymized data from learners and educators, and they use it to refine the whole system, to engineer an even smarter, more effective engine for learning. This visual is it's stunning, really. Think about it. Traditionally, it takes years for a brilliant research insight to actually make its way into a classroom. But on this platform, that cycle gets crushed. We're talking about new, evidence-based strategies being tested, validated, and rolled out to improve learning in a matter of weeks.
I mean, let that sink in for a second. The platform isn't just a delivery tool anymore. It becomes a living, breathing laboratory for the science of learning. Researchers can now conduct studies at a scale and with a level of detail that was just pure science fiction a few years ago.
But okay, let's be real. A system this powerful that handles this much sensitive data, it can only work if it's built on an absolutely unshakable foundation, and that foundation is trust. And that trust isn't just a buzzword. It's hardwired into the system's DNA through this ethical framework. It starts with transparency, so you can actually understand why an AI made a certain recommendation. It means a constant focus on fairness, with audits to catch and correct biases. And it requires real accountability, with an external ethics board helping to steer the ship. This also means completely rejecting the old model. So, instead of a closed-off, proprietary system that locks you in and keeps things hidden, this platform is built on an open access philosophy. It's designed to work with other tools. It publishes its ethical rules for everyone to see. It's not trying to be a walled garden. It's trying to be core infrastructure for everyone. Okay, let's bring it all home now. We've seen the roles of the learner, the educator, and the researcher. Now let's talk about the magic that happens when they all come together, the power of synergy, and how this system achieves these incredible compounding gains. This right here is the key concept. Most edtech is additive. You buy one tool, you get its benefit. You buy another, you add its benefit. It's simple addition. But an integrated system like this creates multiplicative value. The educator's work makes the researcher's work better, which makes the AI better, which makes the learner's experience better, and on and on. Each part literally amplifies all the others.
And here it is, the whole flywheel in motion. Let's trace it. It starts with a learner, interacting and creating data. That data flows to an educator, who acts on those insights. All that data, in aggregate, fuels new research. The research then refines the platform's algorithms, and that leads to an even better experience for the next learner, which starts the whole cycle over again. Only this time, it's smarter, faster, and more effective than before.
And the result of all this is both breathtakingly simple and incredibly powerful. You get an ecosystem where every single interaction from every user makes the entire system smarter for everyone else. That is the power of compounding gains.
Which leads us with one final, pretty mind-bending question to think about. In a world with this flywheel spinning faster and faster every day, what happens when our learning tools actually start to learn faster than we do? What does that future even look like?